Alrighty, so we are back with the Million Arena, and now that I finally have gotten the missions and a max damage screenshot, quote unquote, for both of the different events, I can give you sort of a guide and a strategy for how you want to be taking this event down. Now, like I said, I wanted to make sure that I was 100% certain in the method that I was doing and wanted to make sure that I could talk about the ins and the outs and what I needed to get lucky with, what I didn't need to get lucky with, and the strategies that worked for me before I wanted to make a guide, because I didn't just want to come up here and half-ass some sort of setup for you and tell you that it's just like, how do I explain this, right? The event itself is basically all RNG. And it's a bit frustrating, but there are factors that we can bring in that can help manipulate the RNG into our favor ever so slightly. So there are a few premises that we need to get out of the way. Do you need to qualify, get into the preliminaries, do all of that stuff? Is it an absolute must? Absolutely not. But if you are someone who's interested in trying to get into the preliminaries and try to move on to the next round or whatever, then this video may be helpful for you. Now, something else that I need to mention is this event is heavily reliant on setting up certain strategies and getting your rotations literally perfect. And as frustrating as that may sound, believe me, I know, that is what we are looking at here. Now, that's sort of just a couple things that I want to get out of the way. I'm going to show you footage from the turn that ended up working for me, and then I'm sort of going to explain that process. So with that being said, let me show you what I did to get the max damage. It's going to revolve having a World Tournament LR, STR LR Tau. Okay, so we are now here with some pre-recorded footage of the turn where I finally got things right. You guys can see I'm on turn 3 with a maxed out board here for LR Mercenary Tau, and we got a 300 million damage attack. And then what we needed to do for this major factor here, we'll be talking about this in a little bit, is getting this additional attack with the Cyborg Tech Tau, who's going to be a very good linking partner for the LR Tau. Now, you may be asking, or wondering, Vil, I don't have that LR Tau, what am I going to do? Well, I'm happy you asked, because it's not just going to be a one-trick pony setup. I'm going to show you a few ways that I would recommend doing it, and then we'll get into a few of the caveats that might make this more difficult than, it might be easier for you than some others. But let's go ahead and get back to what I was showing you. That was just the footage that I had initially. Okay, so now that you've seen my successful run and what I needed to get, let me talk about the factors that went into getting the 99999 damage sort of attack right there. I'll show you the team that I used to get the clear and sort of explain everybody's role and where they need to be within the team. Now, the Piccolos themselves are just here for the leader skills. So what you would want to do is sort of set it up like this. You want to go in with a Super STR, and you want to filter this by Namekians. I was just being lazy there. And then what you want to do is sort of just go in here and reset until you get the rotations that you want. Now, this can be easier said than done in a lot of cases. The way that what I was specifically looking for was a setup where we had Kaba in slot 7 next to Tau, as well as the both of the Taus on turn 2 or turn 3, excuse me. Or what you could do is have a Jocko or a Chaozu in slot 7, and then have all three of these characters right here, both of the Taus and Kaba on one rotation. So it's either you get all three of them turn 1. Any run that you get where all three of them are on the same turn is considered a good run, because you need to have them all on one rotation or one turn in order for this to work. Now, this is the strategy that we would want to be implementing. Now, the odds of me getting a successful version of this in this run or in this recording itself is probably going to be pretty low, but I'll give it a stab while I'm trying to explain what I'm talking about. So, if you have a 60% support hit, this is the character that you're going to want to be using. Now, if you don't have the 60% support characters, things are going to be a lot trickier. Now, I know that sucks because those are something that I don't recommend that you summon on, but some characters that I've seen specifically for this build, if we go over here, what you could do potentially is take off a character like this and then use the STR Kaioken Goku, right? He's a good STR orb changer. You just need to find somebody that's creating an abundant amount of STR orbs for you, as well as providing support. Now, I don't have the STR hit, so I'm using Kaba, right? It's just, that's the best option that I have. And sometimes what other people will do is run the GT duo on standby or the Broly trio for an alternate setup. But this, for me, just based on the box that I have, this was the best setup that I could run. Now, again, that's what we are looking for here. Now, you might be wondering what the purpose of Kaba is, aside from his support. Well, once you grab the HP nodes and make your HP 25%, the turn that you see Kaba, as long as that HP is low, he's going to change the entire board to STR orbs and then give you additional support alongside the Tech Tau being a good linking partner. This is going to help you get that 310 million damage attack stat that you saw with the initial Tau in the successful footage. So that is sort of where we are at with this. Now, you might be wondering, what is this SSR Jocko and SSR Chaozu doing? Well, this Jocko and Chaozu, their only role is to be on the team in order to get a stun. And what they do is stun the enemy on appearance. So one time only for a 3-turn event, this is going to be perfect. The rotations that they are on, the enemy is going to be stunned. So this is where you kind of want to have that setup. So that is kind of the best way that I can explain that. Now, if this case, we could see if Tau was in slot 7, I would deem this a good run because we're going to be able to kind of try out some things. So that is what you were looking to do. You were looking to get a turn with Tau, Kaba, or Hit, or whatever your support character is. It could be the GT duo on standby. Whoever it may be, you need to figure out a way to get the orb, as many red orbs as possible on the board, and then you need to use those with Tau, get the support going, and you should be good to go. If you can copy and paste this exact setup but use Hit, you are in an optimal place and you're going to be able to get done all of the missions and get that 300 million damage attack stat. That's how I would set it up. So I know it's a bit vague and convoluted, but it's just the way that this mode works. This is essentially the gameplay that you are doing. You are just looking for perfect rotations, and then you need a lucky factor to go into your favor. Now, there's one thing that I have not talked about yet, specifically with this specific strategy that I've been doing, and it's when you have Tau linked up with Tau, you'll see here, again, this is a lot of the gameplay, just trying to get that perfect run. But the luck element that's going to come into it is the Tech Tau, the TUR, you are going to be looking to get a stun with him on his super attack. So that's where the luck comes in, because you do not have a lot of key to play with this Tau, right? I believe you start at 4 or something like that. So what you're basically going to need to do is find a way to get a key. Now, this can be tricky at times, but it's definitely doable. So I'm speaking the most on this strategy because this is the one that worked for me. Right? If this strategy doesn't work for you, that is okay. So Kaba is in slot 7. This is going to be a perfect example of what a run is going to look like. So now you guys can see we've gotten the rotations that we want because we don't need to nuke with Tau on turn 1, and you're going to see where the RNG is going to come into a factor. So this first run right here, this is going to be the best example I can give you for this specific strategy, and then we'll look at another one after this that I see a lot of people do. So right here, this turn does not matter in the slightest. What you want to do is avoid same type orbs so we do not heal. That way we ensure that we get the full nuke with the nuke board with Kaba, right? So you guys can already see kind of the foundation that we're laying. Now, if we do get lucky and Tau, the tech one, gets a super attack and stuns, we win, we get the damage, and we're good to go. So this is far and away been the quickest one for me, and I think it'll be the same thing for you guys as well. Now, we're kind of in a spot here. How do I want to do this? We're going to do this and then grab these with you, so that way we don't heal, and we'll do that, because the only thing that matters is that third turn. So this turn doesn't matter as well because he's been stunned on both of them, and now we can go ahead and hop in here and grab this. So you guys can sort of see what your boy is trying to do to get this done. It's a very simple setup, just takes a little bit of repetition and getting your rotations right. Now, I know the tricky thing with this setup is having Tau in the first place, the LR Tau if you're a newer player especially, but if you have had this Tau for a long time, you're going to be in business. So now that we have this here, we are going to grab these orbs, and this is going to be a 300 million attack stat, and this is going to work out perfectly, but where the RNG is going to come in play here is the fact that we're not going to be able to stun, at least I don't think, we're not going to be able to stun, get a guaranteed stun on Yamcha. So again, this is where RNG factors in. We would need an additional super in order to get the win on this run. But you guys kind of see the idea. Only took about 9 minutes of playing to get this set up the way we wanted to, and unfortunately he did not crit here, so it doesn't really matter how we split it. Unless we get an additional super right here, we are not going to win. But that is sort of the idea. You want to get the orbs there with the Tau and get that second stun, and that is going to be the way that you want to win. So that's the strategy that worked for me, but let's move on to the second strategy that you could also do that I've seen a lot of people running, and that is the physical strategy right here of running the Broly trio alongside GT Goku and the GT duo. Now, I found personally that this one is much, much harder to set up because you need you need a very, very, very specific setup for this to work. Now, what we're going to be doing is filtering this down to Vegeta family as well, and we are right here. The strategy basically is going to be sort of the same setup here where we need that stun right away, but what we're looking for in specific is a turn 2 with the GT duo. We want GT Goku and then the Broly trio. So if we go in, I'll kind of give you an example here. You guys can already see that GT Goku is not alongside the Broly trio, so we're going to be unable to nuke this. So if one of the Vegetas had taken the place of the other Goku there, or the GT Goku, or the Vegeta that's the friend one would have swapped with GT Goku, this would have almost been perfect, because we would have been able to stun and sort of get the setup that we wanted. But you guys could see that was not the case. And this is what we are going to be looking to do. So the strategy is get the stun turn 1 with Super Saiyan 3 Goku, nuke the board slot turn 2 with GT Goku alongside the GT Duo standby and the Broly trio. And that way he's stunned, so he cannot hit you in slot 1, and this is going to be the best way to make it work. Now, this is going to be an unfortunate case here because what is the setup going to be looking like? We got the GT Duo in slot 7. It's already a dead run. Now, that is another way that you could do it. It's just, it takes time, right? There's so many different ways that people have been trying this. If we go to the friend leaderboard, there are other strategies of a similar sort of setup here. You guys can see a lot of people are running the Tao setup. You could run Tao with the androids around instead of Chaozu. That can work. You could run this setup right here with Daima Goku for the 2-turn support. You could run the androids for the Usher. And if you have that 50% support Gohan, this is also going to be working for you as well. But you guys can see, because it's a free LR, the most common strategy that you see people doing is people running it on the farm bot, as you guys can see here on these teams on the top. And then there are just some other setups here. Not really much of help, and this is basically what I'm doing, just a little bit different, right? So that is sort of what people are doing. This one really wasn't as helpful as I thought it would be. But when you look at the trending teams, it's sort of the same thing. Just people who are just kind of going through here, going through the motions. One setup that I've also seen, this is a pretty good one if you had the new Dokkan Fest Tao, is sort of just running like Giga support for him with another Tao linking partner, Daima Goku. You run the Pat the Power Kid Goku, and you can sort of set it up like that because he gets a massive buff when he stuns the enemies on his first appearance. But I'm hoping that most of you did not summon for Tao, and that is going to be probably a good thing for you. So that is another way that you can do it, but this has kind of just been the strategy your boy's been rocking with, the one with the free-to-play LR Tao, and I think that your best bet is to run something like this if you do not have anything else, because this setup right here specifically does not have any 60% support and has some fairly popular characters that I think most players will have access to if they've summoned on banners in the last 2 years or so. The GT Duo were on the anniversary banners. The Broly Trio is in all the carnival banners that you're summoning on. This guy was Golden Week last year, and he was also recently available during Golden Week, right? And then this GT Kid Goku got an EZA. Maybe you picked them up with coins at some point. And then this physical Vegeta you can pull on any multi. So I think this is technically the most common player friendly setup here, but I do understand the difficulty in this setup being that you need to have some extreme rotation luck where everything sort of needs to go your way, otherwise you're not going to be able to get it done. So that is sort of where I'm at right now with this setup. I would recommend, if you can copy and paste my hit setup, that's the one, not my hit setup, but the LR Tao setup, I would definitely recommend that you run this one. Or if you're just missing a lot of the characters in general, where I think this gets the most tricky is it's just tough, right? Where this gets the most tricky is just running like a basic support. I guess like Extreme Physical Kid Buu could work, but again, you really are stretching it because he is not an orb changer like that. So again, you're looking for like major orb changers. You guys saw one of those guys running the Physical Weirus character is also a very good option just because of his orb changing and stuff like that. And the Broly Trio obviously has their perks for nuking characters as well. So that could potentially be another way that you want to run this setup. Now, when it comes to here, this is almost a good setup, but the issue is there's no way for us to really get around the stun there. Like, we would lose the GT Duo support because we just can't really nuke the board, right? We would need physical Vegeta to go absolutely crazy. And that is sort of the problem, right? That's why this event's not very fun. I released a video recently going over what I didn't like about it, and this is basically the nooks and crannies of it here. So GT Goku, if he would have been in slot 7, this could have been an okay run because we would have had some decent stun luck there, but unfortunately we did not get any extra additional luck. What it really comes down to me is the fact that you need to get that second stun or that third stun, and that's where things get tricky, right? Because especially with this Goku, it's hard to get off the super attacks that you need to get off. GT Goku, again, it's just right here. It's so hard to get perfect RNG. It is so tough. And that's if you want to get like the 99999 damage screenshot. Not screenshot, but attack, right? Because if you get the 9999999 damage, that basically, I think, confirms that you'll be moving on to the preliminaries, right? Like I had a 310 million attack stat with Tao. That will probably lock me in. We'll see. We'll just run this and see what happens. And we'll just see, right? I don't think this is going to work, but we can just try it. If we go right here, usually this like, what we need is like some really good attack luck. And if the attack spread is okay, this is basically what we would need, right? So you guys can see that we are, you know, how long have I been trying this strategy? For like a good 7 to 8 minutes, and we haven't even come close yet. But this is basically what you're looking to do, right? Set this up like this, get the rotation like that, and then you just need to get lucky. And this is where you probably would need to have some dodge on your GT Kid Goku. And in this case, I do not. So the run is already over because he is type disadvantage. And that is basically the whole idea. So he's going to take 400k from there. And that is why this specific setup is so tricky, because now the only damage is coming from the Spirit Bomb, and there's no other way for us to nuke the board again. So that is why I don't really love this strategy in specific, just because it comes down to so many different factors that you need. Needing the perfect rotation in slot 2, I'm not really a huge fan of, but if you can get the perfect stun luck, it won't be too bad. Ideally, what you're looking for when it comes to the rotations on this one in specific is going to be Super Saiyan 3 Goku with both of Vegeta's, I guess, would kind of be like a good start for you in slot turn 1, and then turn 2, you want the GT Duo with the Broly Trio and GT Goku, and then in slot 7, you want the Tech Jocko, and that is going to ensure that you have a stun on all 3 turns as long as Super Saiyan 3 Goku does proc his stun on the super attack, and that is what you need to get lucky. Now, again, some valuable characters in here are going to be the Physical Dokkan Fest Tao, the Int Daima Goku. There are a lot of different things that we can do to sort of work around it, but again, this is just a very RNG-based event, and these have been the strategies that I have been using, and I don't want to give a guide on a strategy that I haven't really tried. I think these two are probably the most common and easy ones to do, all things considered, just when it comes to accessible characters. But if you do not have the, the freaking... the 60% supports, then yeah, I definitely feel for you. It's tough, right? It's really tough. But that is basically it, right? Just another quick sort of strategy that you could do. You could run something like this for demonic power, and then what you could do is either run 2 Glorios, or what you could do is run the Kamehameha thing to get a buff for the Family Kamehameha Gohan, right? You could run something like this. The team is going to be looking something like that, where you want a Glorio in slot 3 for turns 1 and 2, and then you want to just set it up like this, where you have Kaba slot 7 basically, and then you need this Gohan to be in turn 1 to activate a standby, get as many charges as possible, and then get your support that way. So there you guys have it. Pan as well on turn 2 for the extra 23 key. This is another setup that you can do. Just a lot of different ways that you can go about this. There are videos all over the place, but that is basically how the Million Arena is going to be working. I know this event is not the best, and I'm sorry if this wasn't the most clear guide in the world, but it's just one of those events where you have to get lucky. If there was like a bona fide way to do it, I would definitely tell you. But if you want to take one thing from this video, I would highly recommend that you run this team if you can. This is the one that I had the most success with, and when you saw in the video yourselves when I was doing like some quick resets, this was definitely the most consistent one for me and the easiest to set up. So there you guys have it. Let me know down below what you guys think of the Million Arena. What would you have done to improve it? And have you done a max damage attack yet or anything like that? Have you cleared all the missions? If you have any questions as well, don't forget to join the community Discord down below. There's a link in the description. Always welcome to have you there. You can always submit your teams for shorts and stuff like that. We rate your teams, maybe we can tell you how to improve them. Very helpful community, a lot of active members in there that are willing to help you with the game and stuff like that. It's also a fun way to have contact with me every once in a while. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you did enjoy. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you were new, and I'll see you all in the next one. Good luck with this dumb mode.